Welcome to our director's commentary of our film Locksman. We always knew that we wanted to do a British crime film. We all liked the way they were filmed and the generally upbeat tone of them against a dystopian film. One of our main influences for this film was the Guy Ritchie films. We really wanted to capture that same feeling in our trailer that he has in his. We decided to do a rags to riches film in which a young homeless man called Tyler Locksman makes his way to the top of the crime chain with help from a retiring criminal called Marcus Levitt.
After we'd decided the storyline, we began to think of the locations and a storyboard for the trailer. Our original storyboard was slightly different to the storyboard we ended up with, due to us not being allowed to film in the tunnel. We also had a comical scene of Marcus relaxing after a hard day's work by doing some baking. We had to cut this scene as it didn't make sense with the rest of the trailer. Locations wise, we chose Trafalgar Street in Brighton for our first and longest scene. As there was a tunnel there, we could use the feeling of going from dark of the tunnel to the light to our advantage.
As we were filming in Brighton, we had to do a risk assessment to ensure that what we were doing was safe. We needed to consider the fact that we were filming on a busy street with quite heavy traffic, and also there were tradesmen working nearby. We also had to consider how all the transport of our equipment would be done safely to the location. We decided to do a British crime film for our trailer because we all decided that we can use some quite effective postmodernist ideas throughout it. We had two actors and the trailer is based around one of them called Tyler Locksman and his rise to fame and success in the criminal world. We also see a developing relationship between him and his teacher Marcus Levitt.
We wanted to start the trailer with a single sweeping shot of him leaving the train station and walking down into a tunnel. We did this to give us some time for the character to tell us a lot about himself via a voiceover. In this next shot, we wanted to represent the divide between dark and light. In his life, he has effectively gone from a very dark place into a brighter one. This shot also acts as an establishing shot.
We wanted to incorporate a lot of movement into our shots, but we found that the track we had wasn't long enough for some of the shots we wanted, so we used a wheelchair to attain some of the longer shots. You see here, we used a photo editing software to achieve this Guy Ritchie style of character introduction. We also wanted to emphasise this scene with a sudden end to the music and the gunshot.
For the titles of the director, producer and all others that we used, we decided to use a very simple font because we felt that British crime films were generally very simplistic and accessible films that are easy for the public to watch. We used the same idea for our characters too. Tyler is a classic rags to riches character and Marcus again is the typical anti-hero.
In terms of the music, I really wanted to use the stereotypical upbeat drum-driven sound that is popular with British crime. I also wanted to reflect the personalities of the characters in their introductions. Tyler has a more subtle, mysterious sound, whereas Marcus has a brighter character. In this section we had the idea to split the shots into four. We did this by layering 4 shots over one another, then sizing them appropriately. In this scene you see that Tyler is trying to get into 4 doors using the same method. Each time he does it, only one of the doors opens. That screen then fades to black. We believe that this is a very postmodernist feature that challenges the norms of British crime.
Finally, we have the club scene. In this scene, we really wanted to use the lighting to our advantage. We decided to use a strobe light because it gave a very energetic effect. We also filmed all of it handheld to give the movement to the shot, and we end the scene with Tyler on the sofa. The camera slowly tracks in to exaggerate his realization that he wants more from his success. For the promotion of our film, we used a poster and a magazine cover. Little White Lies was the most interesting magazine out of all the ones we had found. All of the covers are like pieces of art rather than a photo, so it gives us a chance to make an interesting and unique cover. To make this, Adam took the photos of our actors in my home, and then we photoshopped 2 halves together, one side homeless and the other side successful. After that, I drew over his face with a red and white flag colours. but I decided to get rid of the blue because it was too much. On most posters, there was a minimal amount of writing, so I followed that theme. The Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy magazine was my main inspiration for colour and composition. I have used a black background with 2 colours to express the actor's face.
In the creation of our poster, I took inspiration from our other ancillary product and chose to also Photoshop the image into 2 halves, horizontally similar to the Little White Lies cover. Unlike with our other ancillary product, there was no artistic alteration. However, I digitally manipulated the image by desaturating both halves. After doing this, I chose to look up crime film posters and took inspiration from Crime After Crime poster by adding the awards section at the top. After researching posters, I repeatedly watched our Locksman trailer to get all information needed, and then looked on Dafont to find similar typography to use on our poster. I additionally created 2 other posters with less information on them to have a variety of posters.